All right, gang, it is a cloudy Sunday, and I'm off to the movies as usual. And I'll let you in on a little secret of how I go about, screening films. Like every time I screen, some big summer tentpole blockbuster film, as I did last night with, or the other night with Suicide Squad, I like to sort of follow that up with something a little more low-key, more independent, a little more under the radar, and it sort of keeps my analytical juices flowing. I like to keep off balance and off kilter when I go to movies. I don't like to go see the same type of movie day in and day out. I like to experience as much of the cinematic world as possible. So tonight I'm going to a late night screening of the documentary Tickled.
I'm breathing heavily.
Yeah, Sam.
We could hear laughter coming out of the vents.
We've been spotted.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Not to be confused with the Tickle Me Elmo toy craze of yesteryear.
When your child tickles him, he talks, laughs, and his whole body shakes.
I was introduced to this documentary by a friend of mine from CTV. After I watched the trailer, not only did I find it to be truly bizarre, but it looked absolutely fascinating. I realized this was something that I was going to have to see. So I'm going to really leave it at that. I'm going to journey out to the Roxy Cinemas. I'm going to screen this bad boy, and then I will be back with a review. I am definitely afraid of tickling now.
Yeah, absolutely. I always was.
Yeah.
Laughs, and his whole body shakes.
You know what? Remember Jaws?
Yeah.
Jaws! Get away from me! Jaws!
Remember what Jaws did for people wanting to go into the water? This movie is the Jaws of people being tickled. We just walked through a ridiculously intense rainstorm to get to my car to shoot this review.
That's how much it needed to be done.
That's how much we need to talk about this movie that we just saw. Of course, my good friend Sean, thank you very much for joining me, also known as the White Tebow.
That's right.
On Twitter, which is by the way one of the one of the best Twitter handles of all time.
Thank you.
I will give you that.
That's 11th grade me.
11th grade you. All right, so we just got out of Tickled.
We could hear laughter coming out of the vents. It went on for hours.
And I'll preface this entire review by saying you're kind of the guy that introduced me to this film that will probably cause me to lose sleep tonight.
I can't take full credit for it. My friend introduced this to me, and I've been in a deep, dark dive ever since I've heard about this.
I think that's a fair comment. So, for those that are unfamiliar with the documentary Tickled, you are a bit more of an expert on this movie, I think, because you've been reading more about it than me. So can you, in a very basic summation, tell people what this documentary is about?
Okay, so there's a world of almost underground tickling.
Competitive endurance tickling. We are not making this up.
No,
When I discovered a strange video online, I knew I'd found my next story.
CET, Competitive Endurance Tickling group we got here.
Competitive endurance tickling. It was one of the strangest sports I'd seen.
men who are all in really good shape get flown in from all around the world, are tied up on video, and they just tickle one another. That's all it is.
And they are bound. Like, this is not done for like sports.
It's more painful.
There's a fetish element,
Yes,
obvious to
absolutely.
it.
So I told Jane O'Brien Media I'd like to do an interview. Instead of getting a yes or no, I got this.
Association with a homosexual journalist is not something we will embrace. Shame on you, little gay Kiwis. Regards, Jane O'Brien Media.
It was hard to take the insult seriously, considering the sport did seem slightly gay.
What's really quite alarming is that these young, mostly impoverished men from troubled backgrounds who are desperate for money sign away essentially their privacy and their online freedom to be a part of these competitive endurance tickling videos. And the reason I say sign away their freedom, because at a point where a lot of these young men decide that they don't want to be a part of these videos anymore, they are threatened with like legal action, death threats, emails, and so forth. And
this tickling wormhole was getting deeper.
I mean, obviously it's just for fun. Is it just for fun? It's tickling.
You know, I was young at the time, didn't think nothing of it, and I was like, $2,000, that's gonna be cool.
I mean, imagine being a teenage boy. She would just keep sending them whatever they wanted.
She offered my one buddy a Chevy Cruze and $30,000. The money's endless.
This tickling empire is way bigger than we ever imagined.
all of this is sort of brought to the forefront by an investigation into this very peculiar but very real and very alarming world of competitive endurance tickling. And there is a New Zealand journalist who just happens to, I don't know how he came across it.
He reports on weird things and someone sends it to him and like, this is kind of weird. He's like, wow, yeah.
So he comes across this strange world and he decides that he is going to jump head first into investigating it. And let's just say, without really engaging in any spoilers, because people need to see this movie fresh without knowing anything particular, he discovers a very dark, twisted and effed up underbelly of lies and deception.
They have tickle cells all over the U.S. They're everywhere.
And at some point, these boys say, I'm done. The thing that she hates the most was no. It was like a bomb went off.
Your phone number and your personal information are entirely known and subject to publication on the internet.
The business at the heart of this all, let's just say, it almost operates with a mafia-like level of intimidation.
A drug dealer, they get you hooked, and then when when you don't want to do anything with them anymore, they bring you back in with threats. And I think the biggest thing is not just legal threats, is they shame their their name all over the internet. Their families, a lot of them come from kind of right wing, not so liberal environments, and they kind of use this kind of homoerotic videos to shame them into.
Well, even that was part of the question I had going into me, because I know the basics of the documentary, but the part of me was like, well, I don't understand. Like, why couldn't they just withdraw from this completely? Like, what was holding them back? And basically, is intimidation. Releasing these videos publicly that would, like you said, shame them. And there's one really poor guy in the video who had his career ruined. He couldn't find jobs as an athletic coach. All because these videos, without his explicit permission or him signing any contract, they were put online. At one point, the company even created domain names with the poor guy's name.
And it's not just that they throw the videos out. They put they falsify everything. Oh my God! Saying this man's a child molester and look what he's doing, and it just ruins these young guys' lives. And in the era of social media, where that's people put everything about them out there, and that's what they base themselves on. It just kind of destroys them.
When I go, part of the litmus test I have when it comes to documentaries. I love documentaries that teach me something fresh and new about a subject matter that I think I know a lot about, or introduce me to something that I know absolutely nothing about and make it feel fresh and compelling and enthralling. I got to admit, when I saw the trailer for this documentary for the first time, even when you and I were corresponding on Twitter, I was like, I thought this was a faux documentary. Like, the first thing, it just didn't feel real to me. And then as I watched the trailer a little bit more, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is actually real. And the documentary is really fascinating, because what starts off almost sort of as like a weird, quirky joke really morphs into something unrelentingly dark and sinister. And, you know, I have seen a handful of like thrillers that were less compelling and intense and had me just, you and I were just sort of, I was fidgeting throughout most of this movie because it really unnerved me.
And you think you know one part, you know, okay, this is what's going on, then 20 minutes later you're like, what on earth?
Oh my God.
All of a sudden these videos are on YouTube, Vimeo, and every other site you could imagine.
Sending emails to the high school that I coach at.
What do you think your mother's gonna think about this?
I think the documentary is also sort of a love ballad to intrepid, like, news journalists, and the limits they will go to seek out answers to social wrongs. And if anything, I think and I have to apologize because the name of the journalist escapes me.
David
for the time.
Farrier.
Thank you. And this guy is...
He went hard.
He went hardcore.
Yeah.
This guy was faced with an innumerable number of personal threats, death threats, legal action.
From different countries.
From different countries. He flew from one side of the world to the other. He could have faced any amount of legal hassle. His job could have been taken away. I mean, he is kind of heroic.
Yeah, he didn't know that the documentary would even get made or be shown all over the world. And
we stake out the studio, hoping to find out how a competitive tickling shoot goes down.
Okay, car. That's the guy from New Zealand.
Yep.
Here's Kevin.
I'm cautious and don't want to storm into the studio.
They haven't locked the door.
I think we go.
And when the secrets finally unfold and all of the Machiavellian-like pieces come together, you just sort of want to hang your head, shake it in shame, and wonder, how the hell does evil like this happen in the world?
I feel like I need to be cleansed.
I feel like I need to be cleansed. I feel like I need to go and watch Suicide Squad again. Because kind of like everybody under the sun was going to see Suicide Squad this weekend. We saw a documentary called Tickled. What was that story you told me about when they had the premiere at the film?
Right, so they had a premiere in LA, and I wasn't sure which one of the villains, you could say, in the movies
behind the corporation
that
creates these videos
was at the theater taking notes all through the movie, and then at the end the director or the journalist David Farrier spoke and he confronted him with all this kind of legal mumbo jumbo type stuff, and just kind of, and I think when he did a premiere in Missouri, he was also served a court notice as he was leaving the theater. Yeah. So it's just, it's not over after the documentary. Yeah. There's great stuff on Reddit. That's where I found most of my stuff. And it's continually going. So it's kind of a paradoxical documentary because it reaffirms my faith in the inherent goodness of some people that want to do good in the world, like this journalist. But then again, my faith is completely destroyed when I see the type of shit that some people will go to with limitless resources and money and power to have control over people. And that's really the message behind this documentary. That's what competitive endurance tickling, at least in this case, is about. And that's about power-hungry people having power over others. I think it was mesmerizing from really beginning to end. I will not sleep well tonight. All you gotta do, watch the trailer, you'll be hooked.
That's right. I'll put a link to the trailer. I'll put a link to the trailer in the description below this video, so you can check it out. And
maybe just some tickling videos.
And as a person that has enjoyed the mild tickle throughout my lifetime, I don't want another person to even remotely take a feather to me or an electric toothbrush for that matter. Very strange.
I think I'm still sweating.
I'm still sweating. It could be the condensation in the car because it was pouring rain. This documentary is
it's amazing.
It's fantastic. I think it's one of the best films I've seen this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be high on my top 10 list for sure.
Yeah, that was.
Thank you very much for allowing yourself to vent all of your feelings.
I've been telling people at parties and stuff about Tickled. They look like me like I'm a madman.
Yeah, but no, I am so genuinely happy that you coaxed me into coming to see this movie. Yes. It's rewarding in a lot of strange ways that I was not expecting, but it's completely enthralling, and you absolutely have to see it. There's no question. So thanks again for joining me. If you guys, anyone who has seen this documentary, let me know in the comments below what you thought of Tickled. If you could also like this video and subscribe to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the movies, everybody.
Tickle Me Elmo and his Tickle Me friends.
Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Tickle, tickle, tickle.